All right, welcome to episode 110 of Shockwaves. I'm your host, Rob Galluzzo. I'm sitting here with...
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Wow, that died fast. Wow, thanks for that enthusiasm, Elric.
Hey, you gave me some whiskey.
That's true. That's true. We're already on the Bogart Whiskered. Anyway,
I brought pie.
And Becca brought pie. I'm saving the pie for in between our guest and the opening because, as Elric said on the way here, we can't Udo on an empty stomach.
Oh my God.
And I agree with that. That's my favorite.
I still don't believe it will happen. I
don't either.
The idea of us being in a room alone with Udo just sounds too marvelous to be.
What's Ryan playing?
He's playing Shorty. It's your birthday.
There you go.
Now we
Theme
just hit
song of
copyright.
Happy Death Day.
Oh, man. Well, thank you. My hosts, Elric Kane, Ryan Turek, and Rebekah McKendry. We're all here.
We're a little spry today.
We are.
Feeling frisky.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. It's going to get...
Got a frisky guest.
It's going to get weird. I hope.
Udo.
I want weird.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
It's Udo, so it's going to get weird.
Elric, you're going to have to take
another
lead.
Gear.
You've already handled him on stage for Suspiria,
right, I
so
forgot
you've got
I was
experience.
thinking-
in
Becca
Udo.
got handled by him.
I
on stage.
did. I had him during the Puppet Master panel at Texas Frightmare, and he literally, in the middle of the panel, got up out of his seat, walked over to me, and started giving me a back rub.
I'll take the back rub tonight. I don't care. It's Udo.
This was on stage in the middle of the panel. And I'm like, do I continue? Do I say? And so I was doing this very courteous, oh, thank you, Udo, trying to, hint that it was, and he just kept going. Like 10 minutes later, I was just like, okay, Udo, we're doing this. So here we are.
What I love about Udo is that in the movie Suspiria,
Yes.
he has approximately a line and a half. He spoke more than anyone on the panel.
On the panel, yeah.
Including Dario Argento,
yeah.
Claudia Simonetti, multiple other people involved in the movie. It was just suddenly Udo's stories. I was like, wow, you got a lot to say for your one line. So
well, you can ask him that again.
I am
We'll
going
get
to
the whole
ask him.
Suspiria
Luckily, it's a
story.
good line. It is dubbed, unfortunately, but that's okay. He looks beautiful back then. He was a very handsome guy.
No, I
think,
rewatched part of Blood of Frankenstein this morning in prep for the show.
Just to watch those organs. You love those slimy organs.
The gallbladder. You have to
so gross,
fuck
that part of
life
the
in the gallbladder. But yeah, he's just beautiful in
Yes,
that. Just
eyes,
very
very
poetic,
model-like.
and yeah, it's very chiseled.
We also have an audience. There's friends in the room.
Hi, friends.
They came all the way from Arizona since I'm the only one that showed up to Mad Monster Party, right? Is that why you came? No. Yeah, they had to. They had to get the rest.
Blame me. It's my fault. Sorry.
Well, Paula Hafley is with us again. She came
Yes.
back.
Hi, Paula.
So hello, Paula.
And Johnny got me a gift, which I'm going to open right now on air.
Oh,
Okay, so let's
we wanna
describe this
bet?
unboxing. So the
Do you want to bet if I
wrapping-
have it or not?
All right, yes. But
I'm
the
gonna
wrapping
guess
is
no.
Christmas.
Ryan, whisper it because people like that on the
Okay,
internet.
so the wrapping is Christmas themed. There's little dogs wearing sweaters.
It's very shiny.
It's very shiny. I'm very
paper.
captivated by this.
very hard.
But Rob
It's
is
like a
looking at it with
chihuahua.
awe. He's about to open it.
opening.
He's tearing along the seam.
He's opening it.
And
It is a Blu-ray.
it's,
What is this a Blu-ray
It is
for?
the epic Never Too Young to Die, starring John Stamos and Vanity and Gene
yeah,
Simmons.
which has been
And
discussed on Shockwaves.
a young Robert Englund as
Yep.
well. And yes, of course, I own this movie.
Oh,
Don't feel too bad, guys, because
He just-
I gave Rob a record, and he said,
And I
"Sorry,
already
man,
own it, too."
I
This
have
is why I
I'm
bought
sorry.
him pizza.
I'm really hard
You can't
to.
fail with
I
pizza.
apologize. It's just
this
I
is
have
why
no.
I made a pie.
I have no self-control when I see that there's a Student Bodies record or Never Too Young to Die on Blu-ray.
Wait, you gave him the Student Bodies record
Yeah.
Yeah.
over me?
Well,
Oh my gosh.
I'm never
Well,
re-gifted.
it's also not your birthday, Becca.
Yes.
You're
Well-
like that kid at the birthday party trying to steal the other people's presents
No
now.
horse head
Thank you.
bookends for you.
Thank you. Regardless, it's the thought that counts. There's a special kind of person that gets you the one and only John Stamos.
That's true.
Feature movie.
It's true.
Yeah.
That is a
This
damn
is-
fine movie.
Yes, 100%. So let's see what else is going on. So I just wanted to read this tweet from today because I thought it was hilarious. Last week was our metal episode with Brendan Small, which was great. I'm wearing a Metallica T-shirt, and I went to go have lunch today. And immediately after, somebody, this is Regis Duffy, DJ Crypt Kicker, tweeted, in a coffee shop in Las Vegas listening to Shockwaves talk metal bands with Brandon Small when Icon's Rob G walks by outside the window wearing a Metallica shirt. First time the podcast went 3D for me.
We got to get him on the show.
So, yeah,
I've
sure.
hung out with him a few times.
Cool.
He's a listener. He's a great guy. He's also a great Halloween mixer. Every year I get a Halloween mix from DJ Crypt Keeper.
Oh, that's awesome.
I would love one.
It's pretty spectacular. Yeah.
Wow.
I have a similar story. I was on the Universal lot today, and I was in the Coffee Bean, and I got a very enthusiastic shout from across the Coffee Bean. I said, "Holy cow! Great to finally meet you, Mr. John Estrada." Who from Universal.
I love him.
He's a big fan of ours. He was super stoked. So, John, this is a shout out to you. One day I will do the Ghost of Mars voice for you in the flesh, but the Coffee Bean wasn't the right place to do it.
Wow,
I was
love
at Universal like every day this summer for when I was teaching there, and he would always like message me and be like, "Where are you?" And I never got to meet him, so I'm glad you finally did.
Yeah.
I hope to meet you someday, John.
Somebody had to.
Eric Estrada is also a big listener of the show.
Yes, Eric Estrada.
Thank you.
Huge Chips fans.
New Year's Evil?
Yeah, New Year's Evil, yeah.
Going to
his party. Yeah, that's amazing. And, I guess we have a lot of things to talk about, but we should, I want to jump in with the movie that Ryan and I saw last night. Again, we both saw it once, and last night was the new Puppet Master movie here at the Egyptian Theater in California. And the reason I wanted to start that is because I sat down, and the gal sitting next to me, her name was Kelsey, recognized my laugh from this show and said, "Are you from Shockwaves?" And it's like, "Oh, cool. We get to watch Puppet Master together." I was like, "Oh, it's so offensive. Just wait."
I also watched Puppet Master.
Oh, were you there
again
last night?
No, I had a screener link, which I also sent to
I was at home
Elric.
watching it on the screener link.
So, yeah. So we were all watching it simultaneously.
We were all on.
We've all seen it. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
This is my second time.
This is my second
it's
time
my
as
second.
well.
Yeah.
It was my first time.
It is it is a Puppet Master movie, all right. Highly offensive, non-PC. Kind of fun, though.
My favorite line of the entire year is in the movie, which is just bitch-ass puppet.
Yeah.
It comes from the very end of the movie, but I just thought it was a great line.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not really that familiar with Puppet Masters besides like the first couple probably from like 20 years ago. I think the writing's really fun in terms of the dialogue. You can tell it's S. Craig Zoller's voice.
Yeah.
I think the dialogue's good. I thought the kills were awesome, really fun.
Kills were
all the puppet stuff's good.
amazing.
The only thing lacking is there's actually not a story at all. Like, and I mean no story because there's actually like I don't know what they're trying to do. Like, there's no plot. Like, what are they trying to achieve?
Oh,
besides,
the puppets?
Yeah, besides just because
It's hate crimes, Elric.
Yeah,
But they're Nazis.
like, where's the big hate crime? Where's the big plan, guys? I need a bigger plan behind it. But funnily enough, not just because he's on the show, I thought Udo was really good in it, and I wanted that to be in it even more.
Yeah.
Because he's
only in it for 3 minutes.
Yeah, I was sad
What a
Udo
fun-looking
didn't come
character.
back. Yeah, he really good makeup. I wish that they'd kept him around for longer. I did enjoy how meta it was because I think that if you're going to do anything with Puppet Master at this point, that's a smart way to go. How it did acknowledge Puppet Master and fandom and the toys and the collectability and things like that.
Yeah.
Just because, what are they on? Puppet Master 12? Like 25?
13th,
They're probably
14th one at this point.
Charlie may be shooting one in the parking lot right now. We can't guarantee.
There's another one in production.
So but I think that if you're going to try to reboot it, that's kind of the way to go, where you have to kind of do allegiance to it.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably the most fun Puppet Master of the bunch. I mean, I'm not a diehard fan of them. I think the last one I saw was the one with 6-shooter.
Oh, yeah. Which is the third one.
Which I saw in like
with Leech
high
Woman.
school?
Was she?
Yeah, she's in all of them.
She's in all of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's missing. I want to see Leech. I want a rebooted Leech Woman.
There was. I liked the movie. I had a lot of fun with it, but at the same time, don't take this as hey, this is like the next great horror movie.
Yeah.
It's not. It's kind of what it does is it harkens back to, in my opinion, more than Full Moon, it really captures more of the early spirit of Trauma.
Yep.
Which is kind of
Yeah.
being
That's the
non-PC,
jokes, yeah.
over
We
the
don't
top
care who we're going to
gore,
piss off.
and has that kind of independent, low budget feel to it. But it's some cool, recognizable. You'd know a lot of the comedians in the movie.
Like
It's more of a
Thomas
comedy.
Lennon's the lead, and he was. I
He's a
liked
comic
him
book
in it.
guy.
I thought he was great.
He's got great delivery.
Also,
and
it
all that
annoyed
stuff.
me when Craig Zeller's Brolin Cell Block came out, and certain people would be like, "Oh, he's probably clearly a conservative." Something his voice. It's like, no. Watch this movie. He's trying to offend everyone. There's no one safe from this, and I think that's really clear in his writing. And it just kind of bothers me when people want to read into somebody's politics based on just the movie and the voices of the characters they read. But we can ask Udo about that because he was in that too.
That's true.
Actually, a really good role in Brawl.
Yeah. But I do miss the classic puppets. Like they gave them all new looks and stuff like that. Was what I got on the second one.
Who's the one with is it Fisto? I don't know his name. The one with the big fist.
Pinhead.
Pinhead.
His name is actually
Who's the frog?
Pinhead.
I like the frog.
The frog was
Frog
brand
is
new.
new.
Brand new puppet.
Frog's new.
Okay, that felt
There's an
classic.
alien, like a grasshopper alien thing.
The helicopter dude's kind of cool.
So the question is,
But no leech
But they
woman.
kept Tunneler was in there, right?
Tunneler was
He
there.
was, but did he tunnel anybody?
Oh,
Because he
and-
kept tunneling the ceilings, but then Blade would come out.
Yeah,
And you're
Blade was there.
Wait, the key death. Okay, because I was about to ask you guys, was anything too much for you? Because I have one friend
There's
who,
one.
on the way here, probably the
one.
same thing, who said, I like the movie, but this one thing is just,
It was too much.
They went
It was
there.
too
Because
much,
it's done deadpan.
I know.
It's fine. It doesn't offend me.
Is it
'cause
in the
I
bed?
can't be offended. Yeah. in the bed.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it
Well,
felt like it just kind of went flat.
Yeah,
It was like,
everyone
There's one-
laughed
there's
at a
one-
point.
okay. Yeah, in a theater, you're gonna. Yeah,
There's one by, and I'll try to be as vague as possible. There's one by the toilet that gets a big applause.
Yeah.
That one's great.
There's one by the bed that I'm just
An
kind of like,
arm
I'm a
gag?
little
I thought the
icky
arm
about
gag
it.
was amazing.
Arm gag was good, but there's
love
one involving a window
Yeah.
that I thought was phenomenal as possibly the best kill of this
Yeah.
year. Because it was just so unexpected and it's timed so perfectly.
Yeah.
It's actually the best timed piece of the whole movie
Yeah.
because there's some really random editing in it too.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
there's like a sex scene between Thomas Lennon and his girlfriend. No music. Just played out in real time, and then they mumble a few things that I didn't understand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, that's it.
Yeah, I think the whole audience is like, that might have been a little too long.
That was a little long. I mean,
It felt awkward to watch. I like that normally, but that was a little too long to watch that
It was
sort
a
of
little
thing.
long, but it was still. I mean, I still had a thrill watching it. I mean, the thing is, I heard a lot of people going, "Oh, this is problematic." Yes, it is problematic, and tying into what you said, Elric.
Kind of, yeah.
But the thing is as long as it's responsible to bring it back around to
Nazis suck.
Nazis suck.
Yeah, there's
and
no
they
question.
get their comeuppance.
And the Jews were awesome. No, the Jewish character kicks off. It's fun. That's all you need to do. You
He's
got
the
it
best
right.
character, yeah.
he's fun.
And I do like that there's like a little history lesson.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
guy's like, there's the Jewish guy was like, well, sometimes they collect Nazi paraphernalia, and it's
yeah.
like taking the power back. And I'm like, yeah, man, yes,
yeah, that was actually a good little
absolutely.
scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So that's Puppet Master, The Littlest Reich, but I went back home last night and went back to the first one because I have no memory of it. I forgot that Barbara Crampton is in the first one as well.
Oh, wow.
It was
Oh yeah,
I don't remember that at all.
She's got a bit part at the very beginning. She's girl at Gypsies or whatever. And I was like, oh, Barbara, that's kind of a new, because she's obviously in the new
Yeah.
one.
She's the cop. Yeah.
But the original Puppet Master is not good. My memory, I was like, what are they doing? The opening scene's great about Toulon, and then it's like a bunch of random people in a house for like one's a psychic. It's like, wait a minute.
There's a psychic, and then there's like a sex addict. If I remember.
think so. Yeah,
that is so
That's true.
Yeah, that
And
that
then-
makes sense.
Yeah, it's kind of like the
What's the
first
one you like though? The 3?
3 is by far the best
Okay,
one.
that's the one you
Is
were
that the one
talking
with
about.
6-shooter?
6-shooter, Toulon's Revenge goes back to World War II.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
It's got
that's
the all-star
the good one.
cast. Guy Rolfe is Toulon, which is great. Sarah Douglas from Superman 2 is Toulon's wife. She becomes Leech Woman. It's just the one that actually tries really hard to be a studio movie. And it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite one.
The
is
funny
3.
thing is just seeing Lorenzo di Bonaventura's name at the very beginning. I mean, Lorenzo, he produces giant movies for Paramount. It's just very weird to see him. But we also should mention, I don't know if you guys picked up on it, but Fabio Frizzi did all the, did the
music,
score.
didn't
pick up
all
on
new
that.
music.
Terrific.
At the very beginning, there was a credit that says, March of the Puppet theme or whatever it's called by Fabio Frizzi, and you're like, cool, but he did the whole he did the whole
That's all
score.
they used. Cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, that's
Except
really,
for the sex scene.
just
No, Fabio was like,
he did more, but you'll see it all credited there. It's just
Okay.
Fabio.
I did like the angle of having comedians in the role and making it funny. I thought that was good. It worked on that level.
Yeah.
I mean, it's little dolls. You can't really take
Yeah,
it out that.
I mean,
although
like-
there was a great joke about where they kept calling them dolls, and he's just like, they're puppets.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
In that, I guess we should talk about something that's kind of similarly themed in the sense that it's kind of comedy and horror. Meg. The
Yes.
Meg.
Oh, boy.
So, did you see it?
I have not
You haven't
seen
seen
it
it? You haven't
The only
seen
reason
it?
I didn't is because the negative stuff started coming out. I was like,
Don't listen to
I don't-
that.
yeah, I don't
Don't
care.
I need to go
listen.
opening
Don't
night.
listen.
No,
It
I-
was
I need to get out
fine.
early.
The Meg I saw opening night at the Dome, and it was fantastic because a good contingent of horror folk came out, and a bunch of directors I saw in the audience. Like I saw the Spirig brothers hanging out, and I saw Chris Landon out there, and I was like, "This is fantastic!" And the crowd was perfect because it's a film you can't take seriously whatsoever, in spite of them trying to layer in some dramatic flourishes. But I had a blast with it.
I had a blast. I saw it by myself this morning at 10:30 a.m.
So sad.
And I saw 3D with
Nice.
what do you call it? Shit.
4D?
40. The
Sense around?
No, I saw
Touch-o-vision?
3D with the giant
Smell-o-vision?
screen. Why can't I
Popcorn.
fucking remember
The
the name
dome?
now? The giant screen, like
dome.
floor to
Cinerama.
ceiling.
Oh, IMAX.
IMAX. Thank you.
There we go. Wow.
We got there.
God,
Got it.
my
IMAX.
brain is stroking out.
Sounds like
so. Yeah.
I'm glad we have witnesses in the audience
I know.
just to see how this really goes.
Oh my God, no!
And
I
Elric and I
saw.
are the ones drinking whiskey.
Yeah.
So.
So I saw it this morning, super early, 3D IMAX, and which was great. I had the blast with, and it was maybe me and 3 other people in the theater, and it was still just an absolute blast. And I would have loved to see it with people like cheering and things like that, because
That's
I'm
what we
sure
had.
that it would have been huge.
Could you tell where it was toned down? Because I guess that's what all the controversy
Yes, you can
Yeah.
see where it's toned down. And that's like my biggest gripe against it is it should have been over the top. and
Much
gory and
gorier.
fun, and
And you can see where, like, these kills happen, that it kind of gets really sanitized.
So they shot that. So there could be a version? No, they didn't
I
shoot
don't
it.
think they did.
I would
don't think they
assume not.
did. I
Like,
think
it
they-
was intended 3D,
Yeah,
PG-13 from the get-go. Yeah.
After Eli Roth left, probably.
Yeah.
He would have gone.
It was weird. And it's a strangely structured movie because the first chunk is them exploring the trench
Mm-hmm.
where the Meg comes out of, and it's a rescue mission. It's a rescue movie for the first 30 minutes, 45 minutes.
There's a couple of different rescues.
But overall,
there's like the cold
it's
open.
It's
but
one
yeah,
giant
rescue.
rescue, and then you get the Meg's release, and then it's a big chase movie. Mm-hmm. And once you get to the chase, it's a chase movie up until Meg reaches shore, which you see in the trailers, and it delivers on one thing. And I don't want to say it, but beforehand, somebody was like, what are you excited about? And I'm like, if Jason Statham does this one thing with a knife, I am
And he
all
does it.
in.
He totally
and
does
it. literally
it.
happens, and I was like, there he is.
Yeah.
I'm sold. I'm
no,
good. I'm good.
this it's not the book. I will say that.
No.
Like, the book is much more kind of science-y based, much more about the Meg's nature and tracking where it could be based on seal movements and things like that. And the book also spans out over multiple different characters. It feels more kind of ensemble. And this one is just like, how many cool badass things can we give Statham? And there's not very much science or logic behind it. Like in the book, the Megs glow. Because they're from the deep sea,
That's
and
ridiculous.
it's
There are multiple
wonderful.
Megs or just one
There's
Meg?
multiple in the book. I won't reveal what happens in the movie, but there's multiple in the book. So yeah, it was still fun, and I mean the plot was meh. It's literally if somebody came up and said, "Okay, I need a Megalodon movie, go." I feel like half of America would have pitched this exact same concept.
The one that I was going to say, there's one moment in the film where someone encounters the Meg, is trapped at the bottom of the ocean, and they've got to enlist Statham, who's retired from his job, and so they reach him, and you're wondering why they're going after him specifically, and it's probably just because of his set of skills. And then it's revealed that the woman who's trapped at the bottom of the ocean in the sub is his ex-wife.
And that Statham has already seen a Meg, and everybody said he was crazy for it, and that's why he was disregarded.
But at that point, because we've been going with this for 20 minutes, and when it's revealed it's his ex-wife, the audience just lost their shit. Because they're like, of course it is. It's that kind of film. Just kick back, relax, have fun. And Becca is John Turtletub, so of course you like it because you love all the national treasures.
It is. And it feels, it's the
Match made in
same,
heaven.
just giant scope where if you just want a giant fucking shark movie where somebody just literally puked money at the screen and you just want to eat popcorn and watch it, that is what this movie is.
Well, and it
it's
made
fun.
a lot of money, so it's going to
It
have
did well.
sequels.
And
Okay.
I know
The
people were just immediately disregarding
Meg.
it and being like, oh, well, it's not brilliant. It's not Citizen Kane. And yeah, it's a giant shark movie. Go clap your
Citizen
hands,
Kane.
giggle, and eat popcorn.
I was expecting
It's
Citizen
amazing.
Kane, Rob. I really
Were
thought
you?
I was going to go see Meg and
Wow.
get Citizen Kane.
Man.
Classical. Okay.
Birthday
I know.
boy, what do you got?
Well, I have got two that are tied in together, which are, let me bring up my Letterboxd, because when we're on our phones and laptops, as you saw in the video, it's because we're looking these things up, not because we're not paying attention.
I'm being
Yeah,
great.
I had to come
I'm
to
just in the
defense
guy
of that.
on his
Twitter.
I hide my phone.
Elric, he writes down
Elric,
like
yeah.
4 things.
Chill, man.
So I did a kind of an unintentional double bill of rat-themed horror. And by that I mean I had the Blu-ray from Scream Factory of Unknown Origin
Yes.
with Peter Weller.
George
that
P.
the-
Directed
Cosmatos.
by, and I had never seen this movie.
Oh.
This movie's
Okay.
amazing.
Yeah, Weller's awesome
This is
in it. I love that film.
Weller's amazing.
really
And
good.
basically, there's not much more to it than Weller has got
It's Moby Dick.
a giant
It's just Moby Dick.
freaking rat in his house. His wife and kid are away. It's just him, giant rat. This is the smartest damn rat on the face of the planet. And the way that it's shot and orchestrated just feels like freaking Jaws. Like he's going through like the tunnels around, and there's just a lot of fun stuff to it. But it's, I guess it's serious, but it's just darkly hilarious. I found it terrifying because I had a short-lived rat problem at the beginning of this year, and I can tell you it is not fun at all.
Home invasions and rats are what get under your skin.
They're pretty terrible, especially when it's both. Yes. So I felt for Peter Weller because it was rough. And at one point, there's a cat that gets introduced, and even the cat can't stand up to this thing.
Did they ever explain why he's so obsessed with it? I recall it becoming an Ahab.
I just think that's it. Yeah, it just happens.
It's just that kind of story.
And that's the thing. It's like, what a weird oddball movie.
Yeah.
That, like, who is this for? Like, where was the pitch that said, you know what?
Nature run amok.
We want a giant rat to just terrorize for an entire movie Peter Weller.
Is this 70s? I feel like it has to.
No, early 80s.
Early 80s.
Right?
Wow.
I mean, New York was probably having terrible
86.
rat problems.
Yeah.
It could have been getting in on that fear.
Yeah. But he did, I mean, he directed the hell out of it.
Yeah, he's a really good action
solid
director.
Wow.
He's great.
Yeah, so that's on Blu-ray. And then I don't know why, but they came out with this. I know why. I was following up the theme. But they came out with this Stephen King collection on DVD that's like, it's only like $20 and it has like 6 King's movies. And the reason I got it was for The Stand. Mick Garris is The Stand because that's out of print.
Right.
But it's got The Stand. I think it's got The Langoliers. It's got a ton of movies in it, including one I'd never seen, which is Graveyard Shift.
Oh, yeah.
And so as soon as I
another one.
finished Of Unknown Origin, I was like, well, I think I have to go right to Graveyard
I
Shift.
kind of
right?
like Graveyard Shift.
I kind of do too.
Yeah.
It's just a really bizarre, weirdo movie where basically there is a giant, like, in this case, it is a monster-sized giant rat.
Yeah.
That, I guess it's like a cotton
It's like a
factory.
bat rat. Yeah.
It's a bat rat, whatever the hell it is. But basically, it's a factory where they're pulling cotton for coats and stuff like that, and they have a tremendous rat problem, and it's run by the guy that played the dad in Monster Squad, and he's kind of a scumbag, and it's like this new dude. But what really struck me is Brad Dourif is amazing because he's the exterminator. And like, if you want to see Brad Dourif at 11 in every single scene about how he talks about rats,
Watch him in a movie, any movie.
he is
That's his level.
he is the most intense rat exterminator I've ever seen in a movie ever. And you know Dourif, he brings it all. He's always got that one eye that's tearing. And so like that's how intense he is in this movie. But I kind of had fun with it, if anything, because it's a creature feature.
Yeah.
And here's the big difference between movies of then and now, where now they rely so heavily on CG for everything. I love that as weird looking as it was, it's a giant practical creature with bat wings and all sorts of stuff. There's almost like, there's one sequence where it grabs a person with its wing, and like you could see the face up against like the wing. It kind of reminded me of The Blob, where it's like, kind of like trying to stretch out, and it's getting like whatever consumed underneath there.
There's some good creature effects and good gore gags and stuff in that. I remember that was like one of the first. Is R-rated? It's R-rated.
Yeah.
It was
It
one of
is,
the first R-rated movies that I got to go see, venture out of the house and go see on my own. And I remember I saw that as a double feature with People Under the Stairs. I think.
Wow.
That's probably about
I
that's
think it's around the same time. But I remember enjoying it. I wanted to go back and read the short story that it's based on.
The short story is a little bit more terrifying. I thought like the short story has a little bit more ambience than the movie did, but I still enjoyed the movie. Like the short story gets into a lot of like the architecture of the building. Like it talks about the sub basements and how they'd get down into the basement and then find the other basement below that and all of the different doors. So it builds a lot more tension than just, hey, we have a rat problem. We should go into the basement and check. Giant bat rat. So
once you see rats, they're not scary. The idea of rats that is scary, I guess, is that it's vermin and that it's dirty. I think it's the idea that dirt. Same with flies. I find flies really disgusting because they imply that I'm doing something wrong, like that there's something gross happening if it's in your house. So I think I don't know. For me,
You've never lived in New York.
Huh?
Yeah,
I have. I was born there.
He was
But
born
there it's just like they just exist.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you do.
Ryan doesn't accept that I'm a New Yorker. Every time it comes up, he just frowns and looks sad about
what,
it.
that accent?
Of course, he's from Connecticut.
So,
So
I lived in New York for 6 years.
Yeah, I was there for like 8.
So Graveyard Shift, and again, I think it's still probably $20, but just look up Stephen King. I think it's called the Stephen King TV and Movie Collection, and it's got a ton of great. It's Golden Years is in there. It's like a ton of his stuff
Mangler?
for $20. Not the Mangler.
Don't buy it.
No, it's not TV. Elric, you're not listening.
TV. The Dead Zone, Pet Cemetery. Langoliers. Yeah, a ton of stuff.
I need to rewatch
totally
the
worth it.
Mangler was for
Langoliers.
TV.
Me too.
No, the Mangler was not for TV.
I did not enjoy the Langoliers, but I'm intrigued to see it again. I remember thinking that the giant time-eating things look like Pac-Man.
It was my memory, because I loved the story. I remember buying 4 Past Midnight when it came out and reading that and being enthralled by it. I remember the first half of the movie is really good. It's that ending that's really disappointing because it's incomplete CGI effects.
Yep. When they're trying to figure out what's going on, it was amazing and tense. And as soon as they, if you remember that old show, The Max, that used to be on MTV, they look like the Izzes from The Max, kind of melded with Pac-Man, and then they literally just eat the screen. And you're like, I don't know what's happening. But then Tommyknockers was near that time as well.
Yeah.
And I remember liking parts of Tommyknockers, finding parts of it terrifying, and other parts like, I don't even know what the fuck is going on anymore. He's powering a spaceship with his mind.
I think Tommyknockers is the book that King said he doesn't remember at all. Right?
No, I thought that was Dreamcatcher.
Maybe that too. There's a couple of King books that
Mike Flanagan hasn't forgotten.
Yeah.
There's
Every year.
some like Dreamcatcher Day. There's some scenes with kids in Tommyknockers where they're like reciting rhymes and things like that and like torturing each other that are genuinely chilling.
It's about that town succumbing to the alien presence, so they all start doing weirdo shit in their homes. And
it's very psychological.
Tracy Lord's being in it.
Yeah. So
speaking of Stephen King vibes,
all right, what you got? What do you got?
I saw Summer of '84.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That's it, Elric? That's your whole review?
No. Look, I thought it was pretty well made, but all the things it sets up, all the things I want it to deliver, it doesn't give you those things. It's also in the unenviable position to come out after Stranger Things, where every single thing now you're hitting now just feels like a totally worn cliche suddenly, especially with that.
And they made it before that.
Yeah, I mean, but wedged between that and it, where you've got kids on bikes solving crimes, trying to be Monster Squad. Each of the kids look like they're cast in a different movie because they're just so hitting each different trope, trying to make each kid look so different from each other that when they're together, I just don't buy it. It had stuff I liked about it, but I found it really actually quite one of the more frustrating films of the year in terms of what it sets up and what it delivers. It takes an interesting left turn towards the end that wasn't completely expected, and I think that maybe makes it it's just a little bit more unique for going against the grain, but it also adds to the fact that you kind of don't get the nostalgia wave that you are kind of hoping the ride will deliver. I think you might have even said similar stuff months ago.
Yeah, because you saw it at a festival a while back.
Good soundtrack. The soundtrack's rad.
Yeah, I like the filmmakers quite a bit. I think there's just a little bit of a disconnect in the nostalgia that they're going for. And I just felt the kind of Boy Who Cried Wolf, Neighbor Next Door as a serial killer thing was a bit long in the tooth. I think
it might have been a bit straight in terms of a story. Like there wasn't any. It was like, oh, that's your suspect, and then you go beep beep beep.
That is a perfect way of describing it. It's like point A to point B are very clean. It's a very straight line, and I just wanted some more deviations to take us off on that.
But it's not a bad. Like by no means is it a bad movie. It's more just like, oh, it's that you're going for a feeling. I think that's the danger of doing 80s movies. Throws back, and I don't want to diss them because Canadian, but when it's American small town nostalgia and it's by people who didn't experience that, it always to me can be maybe a little off too.
Right.
I mean, who knows? But it had some nice parts. I thought the main kid was good. I thought the female neighbor was really good. But just they felt like they're in different movies. I've never. That's the most I've ever noticed that. Where it's like, oh, I think you're trying too hard to cast a group of people to hit different types.
Yeah.
But even the way they dress, it's like there is no planet where this group of people hang out together. Yeah. It just doesn't exist. Whereas in Stranger Things, I bought it.
I saw it, a screening link of it a couple of weeks ago, and it was okay.
And you did trivia
leave,
for it.
and but I didn't stick around for the. I hosted the trivia before, but I didn't stick around to the screening. But it was just okay with it. Like I didn't dislike it, but there wasn't anything I was really enthusiastic about.
Especially, I think it's those. It's a group of filmmakers, so it's 3 of them directing. I feel like, and the originality of their first film, obviously.
Turbo Kid is
Turbo
terrific.
Kid.
I think that's the thing. I think,
and
because I don't think they wrote this, I think it was a script. My guess is they're going to make something like that again, completely original. This just isn't that.
Yeah.
Turbo Kid had so much voice and style. This
wasn't their own script.
I don't think so. I think it was a directing.
A direct for hire.
I think it was a script that existed.
Yeah. Like this, just I can say like it's a movie. Like I will not remember much about it in 10 years, I'm sure, but like I will remember a lot about Turbo Kid because it had something different.
Remember this day in history 10 years from now.
Ask me about Summer of '84.
I have no memory of that at all.
None. So I'm going to talk about a TV show. So I stumbled on this one. When you're on Hulu, you know how it does like those little recommendations of because you like blank, you may also like. So it kept saying, because you like Castle Rock, you may also like Ghosted. And I had Ghosted. And I had never heard of Ghosted, but I was like, 30 minutes, I'll see what it is. So I started the first episode, and I binged the entire first season and absolutely loved it, and then got completely pissed off because I found out it has now been canceled.
Yep.
But 16 episodes exist on Hulu, and I highly recommend them. It is a half-an-hour comedy, and the whole setup is that it is... there's this bureau. We'll call it kind of X-Files-ish bureau. And these two very haphazard guys kind of get roped into it in a very peculiar way, where one of the agents is literally like being pulverized, we'll call it, without revealing too much. And right before he dies, he screams, "Look up blank and blank. Only they can solve this." And so that's all that the agency is left with. And they look it up, and it's a disgraced security guard and this physics professor whose wife was supposedly abducted by aliens. And because he started telling everybody that, they considered him crazy. He got fired from the university he was looking at. His name in the academia was shit on. And so he's now just this crazy guy working at Barnes & Noble telling everybody that his wife was abducted by aliens. And so the Bureau doesn't really even know why they're supposed to go seek these two people out, but they do. And these two people get recruited as agents. So then it kind of becomes, I'll call it a buddy cop movie, where you have this hardened security guard who doesn't take shit from anybody with this very kind of...
you're talking about two...
you're talking about Adam Scott and Craig Robinson.
Two of the biggest comedians. I had no idea what you're talking about. So
hilarious. And so, and it's just absolutely amazing. And I can't recommend it enough. It is kind of my perfect mix of horror, buddy cop drama, and humor. And it's all kind of in this X-Files environment. By episode 2...
Rob Schraub's the director.
Yeah.
So I'm getting to that.
First name listed. Yeah.
So,
Rob Schraub.
So
My
mic just went out.
What happened?
Yeah.
And Ernie.
No, there we go. All right.
Okay, we'll just
technical
tell him
difficulties and our sound guy walked out.
So by episode number 2, it becomes a Monster of the Week, where at this point you've got this unlikely duo who are now kind of dealing with Monster of the Week scenarios, and it's awesome. So episode 3, they get this kind of, I'll call it a predator-ish being, gets trapped inside the office, and no one knows how to kill it, and all they know is that it's sucking liquid out of everything, including people, and they can't kill it, and it's making the predator noise. But they also discover that parts of it will break off and form these little lamprey things that look very much like Leviathan. And the way that the creature was shot was just so clever, where it looked really scary, but they weren't even showing much. And so I'm watching this and I'm going, whoever shot this knows a shit ton about horror, because he's referencing movies, and the way that he's shooting this monster is really smart. This guy has a lot of background. Start Googling and I'm like, holy fuck, it's Rob Schraub.
Only the guy that would come up with Halloween 3 Part 2 could direct an episode of television like this.
Yeah.
Yes. So
and
Rob
our cross-promoted podcast.
Yes. And so Rob Schraub is the host of Fear Initiative.
Oh, look at that.
Which was crazy because I'm watching it while it's shorting out, guys.
Is it your mic or your headphones?
I don't know.
All right.
Can you guys?
Yes, I can hear you.
We're just going to keep going because
Becca,
Ernie's gone. And we're just going to put him on the spot.
Becca, you there? Wait a minute. I can't see
Hold
Becca,
on.
guys.
Hold on,
I can't see Becca.
Becca's
She's
soul is cutting
disappeared.
out on us.
Where is
It's a
Becca?
it's just it's
Abducted
soul.
by
We can
aliens.
hear
Am
you.
I
We can
back
hear
now?
you. Yeah.
Okay. There's a short. Sorry about that.
Good thing there's video.
So yeah.
Well, the camera says it's red. Is it off?
Hal. It's just Hal saying hello.
Let's just keep making fun of Ernie while he's gone.
Let's talk about our sound guy.
That's what you get.
Just pass me some
Just
pie.
work it out.
I'll
Yeah, let's
see
just
some-
eat some
I'm
more
gonna eat some pumpkin pie.
I
Wait,
thought he was
guys.
joking, but
Only
I need
16
pie too.
episodes, but
He's
check
number
out
3 for
Ghosted.
Turek. Let's just keep him.
Yeah, go
It's
on,
a
Becca.
lot of fun. It's X-Files as a comedy with amazing comedians, so definitely check it
Well, I
out.
can see why it's
R.I.P.
canceled. No one's heard of it.
And
I
this
know,
is all
right?
on,
It's
all on
crazy.
Hulu now.
And I was reading when I was reading stuff online about why it was canceled. I think that some of the reviews were very much like, well, it's referencing all of these things from prior generations. The buddy cop of the 80s. It's referencing, horror movies from a long time ago. It's referencing the X-Files from the 90s. And are these hitting with contemporary millennials? And I don't have a fucking clue.
No, the answer
it's
is it's on
hilarious.
Hulu and
It's-
no one knows
yeah.
it exists.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
so
But it was on
it's-
Fox originally.
It was on
It was on
Fox.
Fox,
It
yeah.
ran.
Not
It
too long
launched on
ago.
Fox last
Never even
October.
heard of this thing.
Yeah,
That's
they
crazy.
did it last Halloween.
Let's go to the rafters. Have you guys heard of this?
Ghosted.
Okay, we got one
Yeah.
out of 3
Paula,
had heard
Paula
of it.
likes it. Okay.
So
Paula
we're
gives
not
a thumbs up.
Yeah, it's great. Check it out. It's hilarious.
Hand
And
me
that's
the
on
mic.
Hulu?
Hulu.
Ghosted on Hulu.
Yes.
I revisited a film from 1994 that is now a Scream Factory special edition called BRAINSCAN.
Yeah, John Flynn.
I've only seen BRAINSCAN twice before this, and
you're a big Primus fan?
I do not like Primus. Sorry.
Oh, he doesn't like Primus?
I don't like Primus. Sorry.
Liz Claypool.
Cheers. No. John Flynn directed this.
Yes.
John Flynn directed.
Rolling Thunder, baby.
Yeah, Rolling Thunder.
A lot of other good stuff.
We got Ed Furlong in this. Yeah. And this basically came about like in the early 90s when they were trying to find the next Freddy Krueger.
What's
Freddy's
the weird
dead.
gremlin dude's name?
Trickster.
Thank
Trickster,
you.
who
awesome.
looks like a villain from Star Trek Next Generation.
Yes, he
With
really does.
better hair.
Looks like
But he has the same hair as the alien on the wing from the Twilight Zone remake.
Yeah, he's got that kind of
that same kind of
mohawk
well-coiffy mohawk thing.
That guy's good. I think he's a good actor.
No, he's very good in this. He's very good. My appreciation for BRAINSCAN went up several fold, I have to say.
Nice. I agree.
Andrew Kevin Walker of Seven fame wrote this at Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah.
I forgot he wrote this, actually.
Yeah, he did.
I remember that. I love his stuff.
You got Frank Langella playing the investigator.
That's right.
And basically the concept is Ed Furlong and his best friend are Fangoria reading horror nerds with a fascination with video games, and they find an ad in the back of Fango for BRAINSCAN, and it's basically a kind of next level game that you get as a CD-ROM, and you pop it in your CD-ROM, it plays on your TV, and then it sends signals out of the TV and gives you an experience unlike any other, which is you are in the body of a killer. So Ed Furlong straps in, plays the game, and over the course of 14 minutes, he experiences an actual murder. Is it Ed Furlong, or was it just the video game?
You know, it reminds me of more than another video game one. It reminds me a little of 976 Evil in terms of tone. It's better made than 976 Evil, but there's something about the vibe of it that reminds me of that. I don't know why.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I mean, that's not a game, but...
there was Strange Days came to mind, too. Catherine Bigelow's Strange Days, where you're like seeing through the eyes of a killer.
Lawnmower Man.
Lawnmower Man was a bit more serious than I remember BRAINSCAN
But BRAINSCAN stands on its own. And I think it's a really well done movie. It's got a weird tone to it. It's just, and I think it comes through in the photography where it just feels very bleached out and very bleak, and it's not a very joyful film. The score it like relies on one theme throughout the whole movie, and it's a really cool, catchy theme. But that doesn't make the whole. I mean, every once in a while when there's a murder, it kicks into full on metal, heavy metal. But it's just one of those movies that I kind of dismissed when it came out in the 90s, just because I was like, Trickster will never be Freddy Krueger. And then, you know what? Years later, I have an appreciation.
Says the guy who what was the one last week we were talking about? That he liked?
Oh, Doom Asylum.
Yeah,
Doom Asylum, motherfucker.
That's the new Freddy.
Identical
You know what?
Freddy Krueger.
Is BRAINSCAN better than Doom Asylum?
Yes,
it is.
It
Yes,
is.
it is.
Yes.
But does
There we
Doom
go.
Asylum
Just
deserve
wanna
to be
say-
seen? Yes, it does.
To our listeners out there, including our friends, Elric and I warned you about Doom Asylum.
And yet everyone's watching it.
And then Ryan's endorsement.
I did my job.
I got a text from one of our mutual friends that said, damn you, Ryan. I was going to pass, and then Ryan...
He blood-hooked him again.
Blood-hooked him.
Ryan and his blood hooks.
I'm going to blood hook him left and right. But BRAINSCAN, check it out if you haven't seen it. It's just got a good air of mystery to it. What's missing from it? And they set it up at the very beginning. Ed Furlong was in a car wreck where he lost his mother. But it doesn't really come back into play on an emotional level later on. And it kind of ties up
That is such an executive note.
No, it's just like you want to set it up. It's like, oh, you want me to feel bad for Ed Furlong because he's got fucked up knees and his mom is dead? Like, give me some sort of...
Wow.
Whoa.
16-year-old Turek.
Give me some more, like, a journey, a little
some more
arc.
empathy?
Give me a little arc for that, you don't just set that up and then just go... Bye. You don't just let that go
shows
away.
up, and we don't need that device anymore.
Becca, no, we need this device. Come on now. Come on. Andrew Kevin Walker, I'm going to give you notes someday.
I'm still shocked about the Primus comment. I got to be honest. At least I have Becca
the great
on the
thing is this is very distinctly 90s because it's like I love. Someone's going to do an essay on like just horror fans in horror films because this guy. The guy who plays Edward Furlong's best friend is clearly 29.
Yeah.
He's got like a Freddy Krueger shirt on. He's got a denim vest on, some flannel wrapped around his his waist, and he just says like really dumb things. But I was like, oh, so that's what people thought horror fans were in 1994. Got it. Okay.
That's interesting.
They didn't know that they were just nerdy kids
BRAINSCAN, baby.
I remember liking it. I haven't seen the new release.
Yeah, I
No, you should check it out.
I want to check
Yeah,
that
yeah.
out now.
And there's
for
a
sure.
lot of special features, and they interview the trickster on it.
There's one more that we all said we'd watch this week. So
I watched it.
The
Did my
Changeling.
homework.
Did we do
Oh,
it?
yeah. Well, I watched it like 2 weeks ago, but I
Okay.
can talk about it now.
Let's talk about
I
Changeling
cannot.
because you cannot.
No, I didn't get a chance to watch it.
Eat your
I was
pie.
watching
We'll talk
BRAINSCAN.
about
Remember we made a
Changeling.
plan?
I had
We
to
made a
watch
deal?
Doom Asylum one more time.
Doom Asylum or The Changeling. All right. Screw the Changeling.
Well, either way.
I don't want to do
I'm gonna sit here and eat my pie.
We don't need to go too much in story anyway, but I really think it's going to be one of the releases of the year. It's just a gorgeous
Yeah.
movie. It's really classical, but it's also really innovative. I like Medak continually places the camera in really surprising ways. Like it's this very kind of traditionally classic film, but then suddenly there's a camera in the back of the ambulance, or there's like this awesome dollying chasing George C. Scott shot where it's like going around a spiral staircase. And there's just like moments that elevate this movie from just being a traditional ghost story to being something that's actually really memorable about kind of pain. It feels like a very, George C. Scott's a real deal, obviously Bucky from Doctor Strangelove, a real deal actor. And in this, I feel like that kind of sad, melancholy feeling to kind of keep that for the whole movie, but give it kind of a positive twist. Because it's actually kind of a positive, like so many movies would just be, a sad sack and he wants to communicate with his dead wife. It's like, no, he actually takes on to help someone from beyond. And I think that's really quite a beautiful...
you get that really shocking opening scene,
Yeah.
which I remember seeing it, and I was like,
so crazy.
man, I forgot about how horrible...
No, it's the shot of him stuck in the way he's stuck in the telephone
phone
booth, and in
booth,
slow
like
motion, he
banging
just
on
kind of... It's actually the movie I likened it to straight after was, which I hadn't really thought about when I first saw it, was it is very similar to Don't Look Now,
Yeah.
but the difference is like you feel completely miserable watching Don't Look Now. Somehow in this, I think because the difference is one of them listens to their intuition. They're the same character almost, but Donald Sutherland fails to listen to his intuition and everything is doomed from then on. This character actually listens to the signs from beyond and tries to do something about it. And I don't know, I think this is going to be one of those films that really lasts the test of time as a classic horror movie. And this release is great. The extras are really strong. I didn't listen to the commentary, but everything else was really cool.
Commentary I haven't gone to yet, but yeah, I mean, Severin, transfer looks terrific. Severin did a terrific job with there's like a scholar talking about kind of a real life haunting that inspired it. It was great to see Mick Garris on there because he did an incredible episode with Peter Medic when this, a month ago, I think.
Yeah, especially for the non-horror stuff,
And so hearing him talk about the film and how he felt about it when it came out and kind of how it led to Masters of Horror because, I think you say this a lot, Elric, where it's like some of the best horror films are from filmmakers that aren't specifically horror directors. Like
they're just drawn to the material for that
and I don't
one
know if he had any. Did he have anything? I mean, he went afterwards.
Yeah, afterwards
he
he
did things
did.
like Species 2 and
No, I
some
don't
other
think
things.
so, no.
But this was his first like horror film out of his filmography, and
it's fun when they go for it because it's not just safe. There's like a lot of like I said, classical things, but then there's just moments that feel like a young person made it.
It still feels really classy, even in the subject matter, because it's about a professor and he's a composer and they're dealing with the historical society. So it feels like really classy all the while that, and there's a lot about architecture and things like that in there. So yeah, it feels really classy.
But if I lose my family, I'm not moving into a big house. Like you're watching that going, wait a minute, you just lost your family, you move into a giant fucking house.
I actually like that because it made it gothic. Like it definitely became a gothic tale at that point.
But I don't get it, is what I'm saying. Like it's one of those plot points in a movie where like
I don't know. That house is dope. I would live there.
See, I don't think I could.
I felt it was very much like drowning yourself in the caverns. Like there was so much in that house to explore, and and he seemed amused by the paintings and what it used to be in the history of the house. So I think that there was definitely
it's definitely tied to his character well. Yeah, I can see why it's tied to his character.
I don't know if they talked much about it. I haven't listened to the commentary yet, but I know on Mick's episode he talked about how Peter Medic had talked that he had a wife that had committed suicide before this film, and he
Medic did?
Yeah, and so he was actually pulling from his own grief. That's why The Changeling was so personal to him. He directed it from a place where he was George C. Scott's character.
That makes a lot more sense than
it's not common knowledge, but if you watch the movie with that in mind, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
So,
that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So he's working through it.
No, I'd always, for some reason in my brain, and I think it's because they all came out around the same time, I'd always merged the Sentinel burnt offerings in this movie together. And I could tell you things that made them different, but I kind of just melded them. So it was really nice to rewatch. It is just a masterpiece of a film. It did make me question why ghosts always have to be dicks. Like when they're trying to get you to do something, it's always like, well, it's trying to pull me into a well, but it just wants me to find its body. Like they always seem to be kind of abrasive dicks when they're trying to get you to do something. So, yeah.
You sound ghosted.
I'm totally ghosted.
Bring it around.
But Becca, this is like the foundation for ghosts being dicks.
I know,
like
but
The Ring and all these other films that followed in the Changeling's wake.
But see, they were all like, I don't. This one, the boy wasn't as vengeful. Like the Grudge and the Ring, they're vengeful. Like they just want to kill everybody. This one, the kid didn't want to kill everybody.
Yeah, the kid's the victim
he was the victim, and he was trying to get George C. Scott to help him, or the little girl, which made me question, like, if you're trying to get that little girl to help you, you don't appeal like, freaky and trying to pull her into the floor. You say, "Hi, little girl, I don't want to scare you or anything."
Like, you have a lot of ghost rules.
I do ghost rules here.
But you know what? I would see The Grunge.
The Grunge.
A very 90s ghost story.
I would probably buy the soundtrack on vinyl as well.
I assumed it would be something like Street Trash, but not quite as good. The Grunge.
But yeah, Changeling gets big thumbs up. It's definitely a purchase to me.
I think it's going to be one of the top releases of the year by far.
And I hope it does well for Severin, because that's the kind of release you can kind of buoy you what you do.
Yeah. So I think there's plenty to talk about, but I say we curb it. Because
we'll come back at the end.
We have a wonderful guest, and I want to get him on here as soon as possible.
Yep.
So let's take a quick break here from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.